Let me start off by painting a quick picture for you. Imagine you have grown up your entire life in a household that is just obsessed with Billy Joel. As in, the first ringtone you ever heard from your mom's cell phone was You May Be Right by Billy Joel. Before you even knew your multiplication times tables, you willingly sat down and listened to River of Dreams long enough where you could recite it by heart. One of your earliest big moments as a college student was skipping a day of college to go with your older brother to a Billy Joel concert in Nashville. Like, Billy Joel is a part of you and your family's identity to an honestly unreasonable, maybe unhealthy degree. Now imagine, on top of that, you have grown up your whole life in a household filled with Disney. That's the situation that I found myself in when I first discovered Oliver and Company. And when I learned that Oliver and Company was a movie that was, first of all, a Disney movie, so already I'm going into this with the expectations of great Disney. And then, on top of that, you're telling me Billy Joel not only has a song in this, but actually plays one of its main characters. I'm going into this movie thinking, this is going to be the greatest thing I've ever watched. This is going to be peak cinema. It just has to be. It's a Disney Billy Joel movie. It has to be, perfection. So, is it perfection? I'll start off by saying this. The movie does start off really strong. Like, you open and you get this really good, 2D art style depicting New York City in all of its glory, and it's a bit dated because it's the late 80s. Like, it doesn't look one-to-one with how New York City might look nowadays, but I've been to New York City in nowadays, and by that I mean I went there last January, just this January of this year, on a corral trip, and got to walk through the streets, and I can tell you from personal experience, looking at the way it looks in this movie, spot on. The vibes are there, the visuals are there. It's New York City. And then on top of this, you are instantly introduced to a protagonist that you can root for. Because Oliver, the titular character of Oliver and Company, he's this cute little guy. He's this little kitten sitting in a box with all these other kittens. It's just sitting there on the street. You got kids walking by, just adopting cats left and right, taking them home. And Oliver's just sitting there, eagerly waiting to get picked up. And then he's the last one there. And then a storm comes. He's sort of swept away. He's on the streets. And there's a point where I think he's in some sort of dark alley, and these angry dogs start barking at him, and he freaks out and runs off. Instantly, you just want good things to happen to this little guy, right? And then, to kind of contrast that sort of heart-wrenching opening, that's where Billy Joel comes in. More specifically, a dog named Dodger, played by Billy Joel, who is just, he's just the best. He's instantly charming. He's got this, really suave, cool dude personality. And Billy Joel, whenever a celebrity gets cast in something nowadays, we all typically groan in frustration, especially if it's a celebrity that has virtually no experience in the voice acting realm. But I will say, to my great shock, Billy Joel actually rises to the occasion here. Throughout this movie, for whatever problems I'm going to have with it later, he is on point throughout. This is not a case of lazy celebrity casting. No, He may not have had voice acting experience before this, but he came to play. And so like he meets Oliver, instantly like notices him just kind of on his own, and decides to kind of, you know, take this little guy under his wing or under his paw, whatever, I don't know, and sort of shows him the way he moves through New York City, the way he like lives his life. And this is where you finally get the one Billy Joel song this movie has, which there's, you know, there's other songs in this movie, but you only got the one Billy Joel song. So that's sort of an immediate, you know, I was expecting a little more. But to their credit, the song that they do here, Why Should I Worry? Absolute banger. Absolutely slaps. It's catchy. Billy Joel's vocals obviously kill it. You got this really good rock and roll. Like, it's fantastic. No notes, wonderful. And immediately, as I was revisiting this movie for this video, I realized I'm a big dumb idiot, because I just said in my last video covering the adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad that the Headless Horseman song in that movie is like the absolute pinnacle of pre-Renaissance Disney music, and that there was absolutely nothing that could top it. And as if to challenge me, my special wheel I've been spinning randomly hits me with Oliver and Company and says, "Oh really? Well, what about that Billy Joel song you forgot about?" So, before we move on, I just want to quickly address, first of all, how foolish I was to make that assumption so quickly. But also, I'm going to answer the question, which is better. Well, I've really thought about it, and I think the answer is yes. Let me explain. I think within the context of their respective movies, I'm going to say Headless Horseman beats Why Should I Worry straight up. Why Should I Worry? It's a good song, and it does sort of, like, it's towards the beginning of the movie, which can kind of put it at a disadvantage, because, you know, you're still kind of getting the feel for what's going on here. You're just now learning these characters. But that doesn't have to be a negative. I mean, just look at any Renaissance Disney movie. Most of those introduction songs are awesome. But also, like it serves a purpose. Like, it gets you introduced to Dodger. It's a really feel-good song to, again, contrast with the heart-wrenching opening with Oliver's, like, really sad situation. It gets you into this more fun vibe. You're instantly charmed by Dodger. You instantly love him. There's stuff going on here. But if I compare that to where Headless Horseman is in its respective movie, I gotta say Headless Horseman wins outright. Like, it's a focal point, it's a specific major beat of its narrative. Like, it's the bridge between the conflict, the initial rivalry between Ichabod and Brom Bones and the actual Headless Horseman, because it, like, introduces that, like, shadowy evil figure and gets you right in the mood for that epic climax. But all that being said, if I'm gonna just listen to a song out of the context of the movie, I'm giving the win to Why Should I Worry, because it's a Billy Joel song and my heart speaks to Billy Joel. I gotta give the win to Billy Joel. I'm sorry, Ichabod, and I'm sorry that my last video is now instantly dated, but I gotta go with my heart here. Billy Joel wins. So anyway, back on track. We've got really good vibes so far in this movie. We've got good protagonist, good setting, fantastic secondary protagonist with Billy Joel Dog, who at one point in his epic musical number is actually on top of a piano and, like, playing it, because even in a universe where he is a literal talking cartoon dog, Billy Joel is the piano man. Don't mess with him. But, so, like, we're getting a lot of good stuff here. The vibes are there, and I'm thinking, okay, this is it. This movie is living up to all my highest expectations. And then we get into the plot, and they lost me. Okay, not immediately, but, like, they lose me pretty quickly once the actual story gets going. Like, he, after the fun "why should I worry" bit, like Oliver and Dodger, Dodger kind of, he takes him to his home, and you meet pretty much the company, like the rest of the group. And I'm gonna be honest, they don't really work. Like all these other like dogs and everything that Oliver meets, they just, I don't know what it is. They just don't really work. The only one that even sticks out in my mind with like a personality that's like memorable to me is Tito, and he sticks out in a bad way. Like, he's one of those comic relief characters that's like, meant to be funny, but his jokes just don't land and make you want to, strangle him. And there's a subplot with him that I'll get to in a little bit that takes him from kind of obnoxious to downright insufferable. And he's the only one in this crew other than Dodger that has a personality that I can even remember. So that's, that's not great. But then you get into like, what is their situation? So like, basically all of these dogs are under the ownership of this guy named Fagin, who's he's gotten into this really bad, like massive debt that he just cannot pay back to this loan shark named Mr. Sykes. And I will give the movie this: Sykes is a fantastic villain in it. He doesn't have a lot of screen time, and honestly, with the story that we're about to see, I kind of wish he was in a better movie, because he's honestly too good for this movie story. Like, and I will say, like, the animators do such a good job with him. He's got this really, he's just so intimidating. Like, his sleek limo, his two like dogs that he's got with the like devil eyes in them everywhere he goes. The fact that he's clearly this like rich and powerful guy, and yet he gets so much energy from ripping on the one dude who owes him a debt. Like, he's just a villain that you instantly are against and are instantly intimidated by. But then the actual conflict here is basically like the debt Fagin has gotten into. He's tried everything. He can't pay the guy back, and he gets this ultimatum of, you have 3 days or I'm killing you. Which, as a hook for a conflict on paper, that sounds like a really, like, that's intense. I'm like, oh wow, this just got real, like, really fast. This just went from 0 to 11, like, wow. But that 3 days thing kind of kills the plot a bit, because it ends up like, let me just explain. Basically, on this first day with this 3-day time limit, they're all, gonna go quickly on this heist for Fagin, their owner, like try and see what they can dig up that's valuable. And they set up this whole ridiculous scenario where one of them like pretends to have been hit by a car and like creates a traffic jam, and they're like raiding the car that they just stopped, like stealing all these valuables, all this stuff. Hijinks ensue, everything backfires, and then Oliver kind of gets separated, and the owner of the vehicle is actually like this butler for an incredibly wealthy family, and their little girl, who's just kind of on her own, like her parents are around. It's that old cliche, like the little kid whose parents are never around for them. She sees Oliver and has pity for him, and like instantly like grabs him and is like, you're mine forever now. And just like that, the entire situation is derailed, and he instantly becomes the new center of attention of this girl's life. Her name is Jenny, by the way. And no, that she was not originally going to be Penny from The Rescuers. That is a myth that has been disproven recently. This is not There was never any connection to the rescuers. Get that out of your mind. But anyway, yeah, like just like that, she's instantly like she instantly fixates on Oliver, which I can get. Like she's a little kid and cute kitten and all, but the lengths she goes to just be all in on Oliver in such a short time is kind of absurd. Like she goes, gets him a new bowl, gets him a new collar, has this whole montage of doing everything with him, and I'm just like, what, you've known him for what, a couple hours? And on top of that, the group, the Dodger and all of them, completely forget about Fagin, completely forget about this horrible ultimatum that's going to get their owner killed and leave them with nothing, because they're like, yeah, no, we got to get Oliver back. And this is what I was talking about with that 3-day deadline kind of wrecking the plot a little bit. Because when you create that ultimatum, when you've barely even established proper character dynamics, you kind of kick your movie's plot in the teeth a little bit. Because now we're supposed to believe that Oliver is instantly the center of this group's life and the center of this little girl's life, with both of those things like hanging in the balance. And it's like he hasn't even known either the group or this girl for 24 hours. How did he do that so fast? And then this is made even worse by the introduction of Georgette, the other dog that this rich family happens to own, who is just the worst. Like, first of all, like I said before, that Billy Joel only sings one song in this, which was already kind of a bummer. But, you know, the song at the beginning that wasn't Billy Joel, like when you have Oliver's opening sad scene, they had this song singing about like life in New York City, and it's pretty good. It's pretty nice. It's no Billy Joel, but it'll do. But they decide to give this insufferable, pompous, rich girl dog her own little musical number, and it's just it's so insufferable. It's so I'm better than you. It's not I'm better than you in like the fun Disney villain kind of way. It's I'm better than you in the annoying I just want to punch this character in the face kind of way. And on top of that, when this is where that subplot I was talking about a minute ago with Tito comes in, because when the group comes along to pick Oliver up thinking that this innocent little girl has kidnapped him, because, you know, that makes sense. This Tito, and he just instantly fixates on Georgette as like, oh yes, she's my woman, but don't touch my woman, man. And it's just like you instantly know where the subplot is going of he's gonna keep constantly trying to win her over. She's gonna completely hate him until out of nowhere something's gonna happen where she suddenly likes him for literally no reason. It makes absolutely no sense, but it's just gonna happen, and then she's gonna do something that makes him immediately regret all of his life choices. Yeah, that entire subplot plays out exactly the way you'd expect it to, and it's just as annoying as you think it is. It's so predictable. It's so annoying. It's so stupid. But anyway, after they grab Oliver, which, by the way, another thing that makes Georgette insufferable, she just instantly hates Oliver for literally no reason. Like just because he's happening to share the tiniest bit of house space with her, she decides like he's a menace that needs to go even though he did nothing wrong, and instantly just lets the group like get away with him just so that he's out of her hair. Like, yes, what a likable character this is. Wonderful. But like, so they grab him before he gets a chance to explain himself, and they bring him back to their home, and he's like, why did you do that? I was happy there. And they're like, but you're part of the group. And again, it's like, you've known him for a day, if that. Like, that a day is being generous. You've had like 3 scenes together at this point. And as much as I like Dodger overall, like I don't buy how instantly attached he is here and how angry he gets in this scene about, like, you were abandoning us. Like, no, he didn't abandon you. A little girl picked him up and just wants to own him, and he's happy that he didn't hate you guys. Like, what's the deal? Why is everyone so fixated on this kitten that they've barely known for a day, if that? Then, we get back to the whole Fagin and Sykes thing that we, completely detoured from for this kitten that we've barely known for a day. Anyway, we get into that. He's sort of depressed because the dogs didn't find anything for him because they wasted all their time on whatever. He's, desperate. He's so upset. And then he notices the collar that Oliver's wearing, that new collar that Jenny gave him, and he recognizes, wait a minute, hold on a minute, and like you can see like the wheels turning in his head of he has an owner somehow, and this owner, like, he recognizes the address on the collar as like, oh wait, that's that rich family, and he gets this sort of devious little scheme in his mind. And this is where Fagin kind of has me iffy. Like, up until this point, like, first of all, we don't really know him that well, but I'll give the movie credit for making his situation pretty sympathetic. But I feel like maybe it's just the way they animate him here with this, like, evil little grin on his face as he's, like, creating this plan in his mind and, like, acting it out. I feel like for somebody we're supposed to be feeling sorry for, he's taking a little too much pleasure in this scheme he has to hold a tiny little kitten for ransom away from his owner just to, like, extort money from them. And I don't know, that just... And to be fair, he does regret it later and, like, go back on it. Is that the second that he realizes that he's messing with a little girl, he does kind of, regret it, go back on it. But I don't know. It just feels weird. Like, why? I know I get that he's desperate. I don't know. But anyway, he goes through with this scheme. He goes back to Sykes and sort of explains it all. And at first, Sykes sees him with this little kitten, and he's like, ugh, just go ahead and let me kill you already. Like, he's so done with him. But then when Fagin sort of explains it all, like, stumbling over his words, kind of like I'm doing in this video a bit, explains the whole thing, and Sykes actually kind of perks up. He's like, oh, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. And so, the fact that he's getting the villain's approval does kind of show you, like, okay, yeah, this is a bad thing that he's doing. Like, I'm not saying the movie wants you to root for Fagin here. They're obviously framing it as this is a messed up thing he's doing in a desperate situation. I'm just saying I feel like he's taking a little too much glee in it, and that makes him a little less sympathetic than he should be. But anyway, he goes through with this. He meets up with Jenny, has Oliver. As soon as he sees that it's a little girl, he sort of, like, he regrets his choices and basically kind of, sets it up. He forgets about the whole ransom thing, and, like, he frames it as though he's just found her kitten. Like, like, there was that, like, this awful note was taking me to this place, and he, like, what kind of person would do something like that? And Fagin's like, I don't know. Hey, look, I found your cat. Yay. Like, okay, so he's winning me back over. And then Sykes, who's been watching the whole time, wanting to make sure that Fagin actually keeps his word, instantly goes for the nuclear option here, goes way beyond kitten ransom, and says, okay, you know what? I'm done with you, Fagin. And straight up kidnaps Jenny, like, drives over, grabs her by the arm, and just takes her. And it's like, well, that escalated quickly. And at this point, I will say the movie does win me back over a bit. Like, the climax here with greedy loan shark kidnapping a rich girl to like extort her rich family, like that's kind of intense, and all of the craziness that ensues after that with Fagin and Oliver and all the dogs, like all the different things they do to like break her out is pretty fun. We actually do get one brief moment from Tito that's admittedly funny, like actually got a laugh out of me when he's like not sure if he can do this thing that they need to do, and Georgette like hits on him and he suddenly sings like "Hi Ho" from Snow White. That's sort of a cute little reference, I guess. Like that was the one bit where he was actually funny. And then like they free her, and then Sykes isn't having this, and he chases them in his limo with his dogs up until the point where they are on an actual railroad track because he is just completely insane. And at one point, this sort of weirded me out. Like, as the chase goes on, you know, he has his two menacing dogs on the outside of the vehicle attacking, and, you know, like, eventually they sort of fall, and, like, the electrocution of the railroad just, like, instantly kills them. And, you know, that's kind of horrifying and messed up, and, you know, like on its own, it's like, okay, that was kind of crazy. But the reason this weirds me out is because earlier in the movie, back when we were doing the heist, Tito gets like vaporized by like a massive electric current from this like broken wire as he's trying to like sabotage this car, and they play that as like a joke, even though he's getting zap fried over here. But then these two dogs like fall onto a railroad track and instantly die. And then I'm pretty sure there's a moment also like in that same scene where Dodger like kind of gets like dropped down for a bit and like hits the railroad for just a second. And yet the electrocution doesn't kill him, but it instantly, honestly, skill issue. But anyway, then we get the end of the chase where, surprise, surprise, chasing somebody in your car on a railroad track where a train might come, maybe not your brightest move. And we get one of the single most epic death scenes of any Disney villain ever, and it just, you know, it makes me sad that like we just can't get Disney villains like this anymore. Like I talked about this last time when I talked about the Headless Horseman, but I kind of miss these kinds of just nasty villains with epic defeat. The Headless Horseman wasn't defeated, but like Sykes, like all of the Renaissance villains, like these nasty villains that are just so charismatic, so fun to watch, and so easy to root against, so that when their demise comes, you can just really feel the catharsis. Like Sykes, excellent villain in this movie. Like I have my problems with the story. Sykes is cool. After all that, you know, the movie sort of wraps up after that. The Tito and Georgette plotline goes the way you expect. It's dumb. We've already talked about it. Oliver, you know, he gets settled with Jenny, and Fagin has learned literally 0 lessons, because as he's, you know, like he's given Oliver back and everything, there's this moment where he and Jenny's like butler, because again her parents aren't around and the butler's kind of filling in the role of her parents, like the two of them are watching this sport. I don't remember what sport it was, but like they had placed some sort of bet on who would win, and Fagin loses the bet, and he's like, oh, and the butler guy's like, all right, pay up, and he's like, oh, that's funny, I must have left my wallet somewhere. So even after all of that he just went through, after everything with him, like where he should have learned his lesson about extorting money from people, to the point where he put a little girl's life in danger with a loan shark chasing her down a railroad track in his limousine. That incredibly terrible, life-threatening experience that almost got himself, a little girl, and all of his precious pets killed. And yet he's still trying to earn money through dishonest means and has learned literally nothing. I guess you could argue like it's just been his way of life for a while, and it's gonna take a while for him to like get over, like, character development doesn't just happen instantly. It's sort of like you're supposed to naturally grow over time. But I don't know. Would that be in the note that his story ends on? Even if he does at least have Jenny as a friend now, like someone he can kind of depend on, I feel like the fact that we end this with him not learning his lesson is just, I don't know. It's I talked about this again last time when I did the Mr. Toad short. Like Mr. Toad has this whole problem with mania that gets him into all these wacky hijinks, and then after all that, he just goes right back and learns nothing. I don't like it when you have stories where characters just learn nothing at the end. It kind of feels like, what was the point? But moving past that, we do get a quick little reprise of "Why Should I Worry," and again, that song slaps. It's a good. That's at least one positive note to end the movie on. But overall, I don't know. I guess it's not a bad movie. Like it keeps my attention all throughout. It doesn't do anything too offensive. I think my problem was I went into this movie with this incredibly high expectation that it just could not live up to. And no matter how many times I've rewatched it, I think this is my third time watching now. I don't know. It's not bad. I would not be against watching it. It's not a Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's nothing like that. I can find enjoyment in this movie, but it just doesn't click the way I was expecting it to. So in terms of the overall tier list, I'm giving it a C. C tier is my tier of this movie exists. If you're below C, I actively dislike you. If you're above C, I like you or even love you. C tier, where Oliver and Company resides, this is my tier for this movie exists. And that's all I can say on that. So, that's Oliver and Company, the Billy Joel Disney movie. Let me know what you think in the comments, and be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'm sorry if you really love this movie, like seriously, let me know. Like maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe there's something here that you can tell me. Like I don't know. I kind of want to hear what you're thinking, or maybe you dislike this movie and you think I'm being too generous, because that's happened before. I ripped into Ralph Breaks the Internet and people thought I was being way too nice to it somehow, even though most of my review was negative. But yeah, no, just let me know what you think. And now let's see what comes next.
Okay, I guess we're doing Make Mine Music now. Sure.